My name is David Morton. I'm the Landscape Curator here at Brucemore. It's a 26-acre estate located in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and it's one of the few National Trust historic sites in the Midwest. And this show is about how to create this little piece of paradise in your own backyard. A day in the life of a gardener. Well, hello. Welcome to a day in the life of a garden. I've been waiting for you. I've been dreaming about spring, planning. This is where I plan. This is where all the magic happens. We've got my former gardener here, Archie White. And we've got our maps of the grounds. This was post derecho, which was very important. A zone map below that, which was created by the third landscape report, historic landscape report. And we've divided this into zones so that we know where we're working every day. And also, we have my little vision board, which has many things on here. And we're gonna talk a little bit about that, how I create and plan. So it's really fun. This is the fun part of winter. First of all, I use this map, and I've had this map since I've been here nearly 20 years now. I checked with our archivist, and she was telling me that yes, this is the original design that Mrs. Douglas might have had, minus a few beds out here that were installed when the halls came, because there was a big arbor that went across the front of the garden. Now there's just some beds here, which we have planted. And so I go about and I look at this and I decide what I'm gonna do. Now, I would say 75% of what we have in there is perennial. So we add some annuals, about 25% of the ground is we add annuals. And annuals help to give you color almost throughout the year, whereas perennials kind of bloom in certain times of year. So we have to keep all that in mind. And what I usually do is I pick like a little color scheme that I might want. These beds here, we call them the front line, because as you enter the garden, these are the first beds you see, and these are all usually planted with some annuals. And so this year I decided to do a color scheme of purple and yellow and blue. And so these are the plants that I'm going to be putting in here, and those will go in the front line. These are all annuals. I'm going to grow them from seed. We've got some gomphrena and some ageratum, and this is a new one for me, so we'll see how well that does. And then we have the outside of the beds, which is out here on the grounds, and we have this rose that's called Henry Kelsey. That's a climbing rose that grows on these fences out here. And so that red is the staple, and I decided I would add some oranges and some yellows and some pinks in there. So we've got some dwarf pink zinnias and some new little marigolds that I'm going to put in there. So that's the kind of the color scheme for both the front of the garden and the side of the garden. And then towards this area here, now this area was all shady. There used to be these 4 ash trees here that are in this map. Derecho came and took those away, so this turned out to be an all sunny area. So we haven't totally taken out everything out of there yet, because we're still kind of working with how we're going to restore that part of the garden. But in the meantime, I'm adding some perennials in there and some annuals. And this is kind of the color scheme I got going over here this year. I've got some columbine and some butterfly bush, some licorice plants, some foxgloves, some bee balm, as well as some other perennials in there as well. We also try to add roses to the garden too, because they're my favorite. The deer like them as well, but we've been able to contend with that. 3 new old garden roses that we're going to add to the garden this year. Darcy Bustle, which is an English rose. We've got Yolanda de Aragon, which is an old garden rose. And Madame Plantier is going to go in the white garden with this euphorbia, or snow on the mountain. That's going to go in the white garden as well. Now we've pretty much planted the white garden, or the evening garden, but we have some perennials in the cold frames in case we lose any of the plants that we planted there this past fall. Although I don't think we're going to lose much. But we still need to add some annuals to that, and I still want to add 1 more rose in there, and actually probably a couple more roses, not this year, but as time goes on. So that's kind of the plan I got going here. And then, so the next step is to start to order these plants. So I ordered the plants, and those will be delivered sometime in March. and April. And then I set out this little spreadsheet I've got where I set out each bed and what's going to go in each bed. That way, if I'm not around, and I can give this to my assistant and say, hey, we're going to plant bed number 3. And then she goes in and pulls all the plants that we need for those beds, and we go and plop them in there. So there is kind of a method to the madness. Now, sometimes you lose plants, they have a crop failure, seeds don't start, or the seeds die halfway through, which happens on occasion, not very much, but occasionally. So you've got to be able to go with it too. So, why am I telling you all this? Well, maybe you're interested in our historic garden here at Brucemore, or maybe you have your own garden that you're planning and planting, and maybe you're just sick of the snow and the winter and the cold. And so you like to come in here and daydream and look at websites with plants and roses and bulbs and perennials and annuals. And this is the time to do it. This is the time to figure out what you're going to want, where you're going to put it, and how it's going to grow. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to see more, hit the like button, the notification bell, and subscribe to the channel.